What is up, everyone? It's Monday again. So we have a Monday metagame update, but we're going to have a little bit of a special one this time because the new set is coming out in just a little bit over a week. So we're going to take a look at will the new cards be playable and some thoughts about that. So you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. All right. We're going to briefly go through the normal routine. There's not a whole lot going on right now. Standard is very, very dead. And Timeless was really popular. It's winding down a little bit. So we're going to go through it quickly, and then we'll talk a little bit about the new cards, the Karlov's Manor, and will they have an impact? Are they going to be good? Yeah, let's talk about it. So going through Standard, honestly, you should watch the other Monday metagame updates because nothing has changed. There's not really any new innovation right now. Aggro is still the best in best of one. And then best of three, we've got these like domain decks, and Esper mid-range, and then mono red, and then a few other decks can move up and down the ladder randomly, but it's not really changing, to be honest. So standard, pretty settled. Alchemy, Mono Red, Orzhov, and Gruul have been doing very well. So you either burn your opponent out fast, or you play some of these like very high value cards with Reprieve, Counterspell, and Removal, and stuff like that. So that's kind of your two options: Control and Aggro. All right, and then Historic, Dimir Ninjas, still very good. The Discover deck, very good. The Geist deck, very good. And then, of course, Control is fighting in there. It's I wouldn't say it's as consistently good as some of the other decks, but good enough that it can do its thing when with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. So yeah, that's Historic for you. Timeless, we got Rakdos Breach, we got the Domain Zoo deck, we got the Rakdos Burn deck. All of those doing pretty well. Mono Black Control, not doing so great. Surprisingly, Dredge is not doing so great in best of one, and I'm guessing that's because these other ones are just a little bit faster. The Dredge deck is very, very resilient. It typically wins maybe turn 5, something like that. Maybe 6, 5 or 6, depends on how quick their start is. It's just pretty much unstoppable unless your opponent is running Leyline of the Void. So, yeah, that's the thing. So it puts you on a clock, but the other decks are fast enough that they can beat it. And then if we look at best of 3, it's a different story. Jund is doing very, very well with the Planeswalkers. This is the one I said was the scariest deck that I hate to see people playing. Stats are showing that it's pretty good. And then Dimir Control is also up here at tier 1. Everything else is below. And we don't have a whole lot of data right now for the Diamond to Mythic the last 7 days, but it's pretty obvious that Jund and Dimir are quite good right now. But Dimir, not as easy to play. Really takes a lot of knowing when to mulligan, knowing when to shuffle, knowing when to brainstorm correctly, not into a Bowmasters. Happens a lot. So you got to be careful about that kind of stuff. All right. And then we've got a few brews on Twitter. So this is a standard one that is new. This one is pretty new. This is a Gruul deck. It's like a Gruul spells deck. And the Brew Lab here went on like a crazy win streak, 14-3, I think, with this deck. And this is one that is kind of similar to the mono red deck, but it's different. It's got new stuff. It's unique. So props to Brewlab making a new deck work, getting to Mythic with it, and having a good win streak. So if you still play Standard right now and you want something new, you can try this one. All right, Ali Aldrazi, also always trying out some new stuff. He's playing Belcher and Timeless right now, doing very well with this one in best of 3. And I've seen this one going around a little bit. It's pretty easy to stop for the Dimir control deck. Like you just gotta stop the Beseech the Mirrors from basically hitting, which isn't that hard to do. in all honesty. You got to be a little bit careful. If you know the deck, if you know what the opponent's playing, that will help you tremendously because you know that basically you got to stop the beseech from going down. But that's about it. So that one's not too. It's good, but again, the Dimir control deck is good against it. All right, and then we've got this. This is an interesting deck, 5-color twin, using Omnath, using the One Ring to Fairy. And Uro, it's like a control deck, teamer control deck. Well, 5-color, I guess. And then I assume there's some interesting combos that go on with this deck. I think it's like Uro and then what is it? I know Omnath and you're using Uro to get lands into play. You can get enough lands, you can get mana. If permanent entering the battlefield triggers an ability, it triggers a second time. So the Elish Norn triggers your Omnath twice, your Uro twice. So those all work together pretty well. Yeah. Maybe it's just mostly control deck with a little bit of value cards like Omnath and Uro. Of course, Teferi can bounce your One Ring, which is good. It can bounce your Leyline. It can bounce your Omnath. All of those are pretty sweet. Yeah, maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the comments if you see what I'm missing, but it just seems like a kind of a solid 5-color control deck. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. So let me know. I do love me some Teferi Time Raveler, so I actually haven't tried it out yet in Timeless with Swords to Plowshare, with Reprieve, stuff like that. So yeah, it could be very, very good. I might have to check it out again. Counterspell, Swords to Plowshare. Yeah, probably a good blue-white control deck now that I think about it. With all these cards that are like Brainstorm, Swords to Plowshare, Counterspell, Fairy, Reprieve. Makes sense? Yeah, I should check it out. All right, moving on. Yeah, I want to talk about the new set, The Murders at Karlov Manor. So this is the first set that it seems like they cranked the power level up a bit for the cards that are entering standard. They mentioned that they decided on the 3-year cycle a little bit late into the process, so it wasn't going to be. I think this is the first set that they said the power level was going to be higher based on them deciding to do the 3-year rotation. We'll have to see if they cranked it up enough to make it work out. But so far, it's looking very promising. And I just want to show you a few random cards. We're not going to go into depth on them, but I wanted to show these ones to just kind of show you that the power level is going up a bit. Archdruid's Charm. This is 3 greens, green, 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 and you get 3 different modes that you choose from. Either you find a creature or land and put it onto the battlefield if it's a land, or creature puts it into your hand. You put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature and it fights another creature. It deals damage equal to its power. Sorry, a bite. So removal, you either get to fetch something, you get to ramp, you get removal, or you can destroy an artifact or enchantment. So all of the modes very good. It's never dead. Pretty much everything there is a 3 mana value. Of course, triple green means you have to play this in either only green or green splashing a little bit of another color. So a little bit tricky to play, but still a very powerful card. As we know with the Archmage's Charm in Historic and Timeless and all those older formats, sees a lot of play, very powerful. So this is kind of similar to that. I guess they're doing some sort of crazy slow cycle with this card. I still am not a huge fan of them just going back and randomly making cycles out of cards that already existed. I mean, if there's already a cycle, it makes sense to complete a cycle. If they want to make a new cycle and a new set, I'm fine with that. Um, I just think it's a little bit lazy game design to just say, well, let's just make one of every color with like very similar effects that we tweak a little bit for the color pie, you know? like sometimes you want the colors to do different things, and that's okay. You don't have to make a cycle out of everything. But I digress. So anyway, Archdruid's Charm seems pretty good. That's one of the new cards. Another one, Assemble the Prayers. Sorry, Assemble the Players. Whoops. Uh, White and 1 mana, so 2 mana. An enchantment. Look at the top card of your library anytime, and once each turn you may cast a creature with power 2 or less from the top of your library. So this is each turn. So technically you can play on your opponent's turn if you have flash creatures. Probably not that likely to have that, but you could have pretty quick aggro mono white deck with only 1 and 2 mana creatures. Don't, you could probably even not have any non-creature cards in your deck and have this in there and then just kind of go to town. In older formats, you could play with this with Luris, and that works out pretty well because you're just basically drawing your deck. So I think it's pretty good. It's just like guaranteed value pretty much every turn, and seeing the top of your library is often pretty valuable. So I think it's pretty good. It's definitely, we haven't really seen the see the top of your library effect this cheap, as far as I can remember, at least. So at least the last few years. So that is pretty good, and it hard to remove, gets you value. Seems pretty good to me. All right, next one, Long Goodbye. This is just a straight upgrade of Eliminate. Eliminate was destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This is the same thing, instant speed, and can't be countered. So they decided Eliminate was not good enough, and they decided to stick on can't be countered onto it, which is pretty annoying. Because counter spells haven't been very good for a while, and the fact that this can't be countered, like one of the main things you counter is removal. So not being able to stop removal is kind of dumb, in my opinion. But I guess it is what it is. They're printing it. So yeah, strict upgrade. You'll probably see some play in older formats, I would guess, because it hits, like this hits almost everything in Timeless. So that's pretty good. It will probably hit most of the main threats in Standard. Though the Planeswalkers in Standard are probably not 3 mana so much. So maybe this will see more play in older formats, but can't be countered. Instant speed, definitely a good card. Yeah. All right, next one, Goblin Mask Maker. This is a red for a 1/2. Whenever the goblin attacks, face down spells you cast this turn cost 1 less to cast. So I think this is similar to like an Edgewall Innkeeper kind of thing, where you have a new mechanic in the set, the like disguise mechanic, and the creatures come in as like, it's similar to Morph, where they come in, you pay 3 mana, they're 2/2 face down, you don't know what it is. This time they're 2/2 with Ward 2. So one of the real downsides of Morph is that it costs 3 mana to cast it originally, and then usually costs a bit more to flip it. So in total, you end up paying more mana than you should for the effect that you get. However, this one gives you the discount. So I think you get it down turn 1, turn 2 you get to morph something or disguise something. I think that makes it much better on turn 2 than turn 3. So I could see that this being kind of a staple in that sort of deck, or in mono red or something, where you might play some morph creatures and you want to have this happen. So seems like it could be pretty good. Definitely seems like, yeah, like I said, the power level's up a little bit. They're kind of going back to maybe the Eldraine, Wilds of Eldraine power level a little bit with some of these cards, where they're giving you 1-drop creatures that actually do something useful, and spells that are pretty strong and things like that. So yeah, this is that. And then last, just random card I picked out that I thought was pretty good, Galvanize. 2 instant speed, deals 3 damage to target creature. If you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, it deals 5 damage. So on your turn, if you draw at least 1 card, then this will now be 2 mana, deal 5 damage, which is pretty strong. I mean, there is no two mana 5 damage spell right now in standard, and maybe not even ever. Um, so yeah, it's pretty good. So it's not that hard to enable. In worst case scenario, it's still 2 mana, 3 damage at instant speed. So seems good. Might fit into like an Arclight Phoenix deck in older formats even. If they need a 5 damage effect. Don't know if they really need that, but it exists now. All right, that's it. We're gonna look at a lot more of these cards in the future, but I just wanted to bring this up because, yeah, I really do think they've kind of dialed up the power level of the new cards, and I won't say it's like stronger than legacy cards or anything crazy like that, but it does seem to be a decent amount stronger than the last two sets in standard at least, which gives some hope that these new cards will see some play in standard. We'll see if it can push out the old stuff, but at least there's likely to be some new replacements or possibly new decks that come out of this set. All right, that's gonna be it. I don't want this to run on too much longer, so we'll start to have the spoiler videos coming up this week, and then next week top 5 new brews, and then we'll have the new cards out. So look forward to that. Till next time, see ya.